Well, good morning, y'all. Welcome to episode 8 of our podcast, which is Coffee, Care, and Chaos. I came up with the name. And our amazing daughter-in-law, Rachel, took care of our sign here. So good work. She's the one behind the camera. So.
Hand-painted.
Yeah, hand-painted.
I feel like we should have like a whole Vanna White thing, right? Like,
Ooh, So on today's agenda is compassion. So, that's one of our core values, obviously, in the home care space. Compassion, I think, compassion and respect are probably the two most important.
when I think about compassion, especially in home care, what I think about is the fact that pretty much everybody in the equation has to have compassion at some part of the journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So like at some point, the patient has to be compassionate towards their caregivers, right? Caregivers obviously always have to be compassionate towards the patient. We always have to be compassionate with our families and our patients. And so I think it's almost like compassion sort of makes the whole thing happen.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So what does compassion mean to you?
Compassion. What does compassion mean to me? Compassion means showing up and meeting people where they are, whether that's, they're thrilled for the day's excitement or they're tired and they've had a rough day and a rough morning, and not coming in saying, well, it's a beautiful day. Let's throw open the blinds and, get to what we got to do. And some days that's not the case.
Right.
Some days you need someone to sit with you, hold your hand, let you vent, let you cry, whatever that is for you.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think the only thing I would add is, there's that empathy piece, right? Understanding where that other person is. And then also applying some selflessness, right? Because you have to think of, okay, what does this other person need? What do they want? What would be best for this person in this scenario? How can I take their situation and make it better by giving of myself?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Because it's not just on the patient side of things, right? It's on our side of the things when we hire caregivers, when we've got caregivers on staff and something happens and, life happens.
Oh, yeah.
And so, if you treat people without that, well, you're going to lose your best caregivers.
You're going to lose your best caregivers. You're going to lose your families, because the thing is, like, this is an emotional situation. Families, when they're going through this, there are just a ton of emotions.
Yeah.
Everybody knows there's high emotions when there's a funeral or something like that in the family, but people, I don't think, are generally prepared for this chapter with their loved ones, right? When their loved ones have to find new solutions, need additional care, need all these different things, it can be an emotional roller coaster.
And then I talk with families and they say, I don't want mom to feel like a burden. And then at the same time, when I go and I talk to mom says, I just don't want to be a burden to anyone.
Right.
And so we see that so often, family members resistant to care because they don't want to be a burden.
Right. The way I think about that is like, if somebody were to have a need at their home, like, we need the AC guy to come out and make a repair. You don't tell the AC guy you don't want to be a burden, right?
Right.
You need your air conditioning fixed.
Right.
He's the guy that's going to do it, or she's the gal that's going to do it, right? So that whole thing is like, I wish people had that mentality about getting home care rather than, oh, I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to be difficult. This is a need.
It's a need, right.
And these folks are going to help fulfill this need for my family and I.
Right. And obviously home care is, much more complex than, AC repair. But, but it's that same idea though, that like we have a need, and if you're not an AC guy, you got to call somebody.
Right.
If you're not a professional dementia caregiver, a professional, caregiver who understands things that has the training that they have sat with folks as they age. They have done memory care. They have worked in facilities. They've worked in homes, and they see this and they understand it. And I think so often we don't talk about necessarily some of the little things our caregivers do that are compassionate, but really show our clients and make our clients feel that.
Well, yeah, and what they do is when our caregivers show that compassion and they go that extra mile, it shows them that all the things that we tell people when we meet with them about our agency, about what we do, it shows them all those things are actually true. That we're not just blowing smoke, we're not trying to market or promise something that we can't promise. Like when our caregivers show up and they demonstrate that compassion, it shows like we actually do what we say, how we say we're going to do it. And I think that's very valuable.
Well, just what was it, 2 weeks ago, we had a family that we care for, and at first they were kind of resistant to care. They said, we just don't need it.
Right.
We just don't. Like we're okay. And of course, the rest of the family was like, well, we, from the outside looking in, as your children, as your friends, maybe you do need some care. And so they agreed to have us come out on a trial basis, and no problem. And by the end of the trial, the client regularly now says, hey, when is she coming over? What time will she be here?
Can't wait for her to show up.
Right. And what are we going to do today? Because our caregivers, they don't just show up and say, hey, I'm here. What do you want to do?
No.
Especially with our memory care patients, they're bringing coloring activities. They're bringing painting. They're bringing clay. They're bringing puzzles, all of these things where it's engagement. It's not just sitting there doing nothing. And that doesn't come from nowhere. That comes from that inner compassion, making people feel seen, feel heard. They want to. Right. I mean, I've got to argue with them about letting us pay for some of the consumables, right? Like, no, you don't need to do this. Right. And it's rewarding for me to see and to hear when I hear about, a client that's just so excited to see our caregivers.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Well, I think that kind of wraps it up for the day. Thanks for joining us. If you can, give us a like and a subscribe. I have a dream one day we'll have one of those silver YouTube plaques to put behind us.
Silver?
Well, at first, right? Like, you got it in steps, incremental.
Nah, straight to the gold.
Straight to the gold. All right, so like and subscribe.
Help us out with that.
Yeah, if you are looking for care for your loved one, if you're in a position where you need help, our information's down below. Give us a call, click on our website. Send a fax, send a carrier pigeon. We're here for you.
Take care, y'all.